It's 8 o'clock. Do you know where your president is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Sunday edition of Breakfast Extra, where we serve up the week's juiciest stories with a side of satire. Now, if you're a frequent flyer here, congratulations to you. You just won a trip to go see the president in France. But don't worry, we'll get to that. Now, if you've been playing Where in the World is President Tinubu, well, you better know that he's racking up frequent flyer miles himself, and faster than a Lagos downfoot driver could do on Lagos roads, because they were all stuck in traffic all last week. President Tinubu's latest destination of choice, however, France. Yes, our dear president has visited Paris so often since he took office that we're beginning to wonder if he's hiding an entire family from us there. I mean, what's the allure of France, Mr. President? Is it the croissants, the fashion, or maybe it's all that joke about the French kiss and how it keeps you coming back for more? Well, we hope not. At this rate, however, we might start hearing whispers of a Jibril of Paris conspiracy very soon. I mean, do you guys remember that old conspiracy about President Buhari being cloned and replaced by a certain Jibril from Sudan? You know, Nigerian conspiracy theories age like fine wine. They get funnier as they age, and in many cases, they always find their way back into our realities again. This just might be another one. Speaking of aging, Lagosians felt like they aged an entire decade in traffic last week Wednesday, didn't you? The sudden closure of the Independence Bridge turned the city into an entire parking lot. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, claimed ignorance about the closure, while the Lagos state government seemed very incoherent in their explanation of the situation. Well, maybe perhaps this is all part of a new traffic initiative. I don't know, much like the one they released last month by Lagos state government itself. Remember? The one where the speed cameras came out and the new speed limits on Lagos roads. Only here, last week Wednesday, the speed limits was officially 0 kilometers per hour because nobody in Lagos was going anywhere fast that day. You see, on Wednesday last week, if Rivers State was a state of emergency, then Lagos was in, or was itself, a state of anarchy. Or maybe, just maybe, it was an elaborate April Fool's prank that's, overstayed its welcome. Somebody forgot to call it off. So the joke's on us. Lagos State actually forgot to call off the prank after announcing it on April Fool's Day. But, haha, we get it now. Now, can we please stop? It's getting very old and out of hand. Life is no longer worth living in Lagos because of all these silly pranks. So please, it's enough. Now, moving out of Lagos, which is a chaotic place, there's still that matter of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who seemed to have taken up permanent residency in the headlines. First, she defied a ban to hold her homecoming event. Then she lambasted INEC for even entertaining her recall process. Not stopping there, she accused Senate President Akpabio of assassination talks. But wait, one can't help but wonder, with all these allegations flying left, right, and center from Madam Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, where is the concrete evidence each time? I mean, Nigerians, we're no longer just sitting down and taking this. We're on the edge of our seats, waiting for the reveal, whether it be on the sexual allegation accusation or the assassination talks allegation, or even, I don't know, anything. Now, while I'm not alleging myself that her claims are false, I'm simply saying that the plot can do with some concrete evidence at this point, unless moviegoers begin to entertain a sense of doubt. But the plot thickens. We wait for next week. Oh, by the way, a court has now slapped a gag order on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senate President Godswill Akpabio, barring them from granting interviews or making public comments about the assassination plot saga, which is currently before the court. Yes, folks, the drama must go on, but now in silence, because apparently the courtrooms have now turned into a Nollywood set with a strict no spoilers policy. And we guess this is what happens when too many plot twists hit the trailer. So no spoilers from now on. Speaking of gag orders, in Bielsa, the government decided to, say no to pro-rallies onward, effectively putting a gag order on freedom of expression and even speech, and maybe even assemblage. But last we checked, the Nigerian Constitution actually allows you freedom of speech, assemblage, and also movement now, doesn't it? But hey, who's keeping track? It's almost as if we're living in an alternate universe where democratic rights are optional. And then again, this is, after all, Nigeria. Now, ladies and gentlemen, We will be beginning the show in just about a bit. Once again, let me give you a hearty welcome on Breakfast Extra for a Sunday edition. Let's get the show on the road.
Very good morning to you and welcome to Breakfast Extra. It's where the news is brought to you with, just that special weekend flavor. And here's what we're serving on today's food plate. In our big report, we take you to the heart of Lagos traffic chaos as Independence Bridge repairs grind movement to a halt. Also in the big report, Nigeria's ballooning debt rises serious concerns that what's happening. Senator Natasha Akpoti makes explosive claims about an assassination plot as her recall petition gets thrown out. Legal practitioner Kabir Akimbolu will join us to unpack the drama. Another big story that we'll be taking a look at is from Plateau State, is where the community of Bokos is reeling after fresh attacks. And our extra special, it takes us to Bayelsa, where a pro-Wike rally ignites tension, accusations, denials, and a looming political standoff. And in the feel-good corner of our weekend warrior, it goes to 15-year-old Kanye Togba, who just made history with the largest art canvas in the world, an inspiring moment of Nigerian excellence and, of course, advocacy as well. All this we will still be doing all through the show. So you're welcome and a very good morning to you. And, of course, as always, let's get started with the biggest stories that matter today. And we get started with Nigeria's international debt situation. And Mazino is here.
Yes, indeed, I am here. Thank you very much, Judith. Let's talk about Nigeria's debt. The recent closure, hang on a second, that's about the bridge. I was about to tell you, but the recent situation with Nigeria loaning here and there, it's kind of a worrisome situation as we are taking a look at how much can Nigeria continue to loan from other countries. Well, we've got very interesting guests here to talk about this with us this morning. Only if you stick around. Let's take a short break, and when we get back, we'll dive right into that. Welcome back. After a cup of coffee, I'm raring to go now. Let's talk about Nigeria's external debt. Well, it's reached a concerning $38.8 billion, with a significant portion owed to the World Bank. Now, this escalating debt profile has raised alarm amongst economic analysts and policymakers about the nation's financial stability and future borrowing capacity. Despite these concerns, the federal government has secured an additional $1.95 billion in loans from the World Bank. Again, earmarked for sectors such as education, power, and women's empowerment. This move has sparked debates on the sustainability of accumulating debt amidst existing economic challenges.
And so to discuss the implications of Nigeria's growing debt, we have with us Mukhtar Mohammed, is the CEO of Finance with Mukhtar. Also joining us here in the studio is Ayotunde Abiodun. He's an analyst with SBM Intelligence. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Welcome inside the studio and online.
Let me start with you, Mr. Mohammed, and just, giving Nigeria's current debt profile, how sustainable is the government's strategy of securing additional loans for developmental projects?
I think as it stands now, when you look at that debt profile, about 34-point-something billion dollars, and then you look at our reserve at our real reserve at 23-point-something billion, so we are already way off, so we are in negative. But again, when you look at events unfolding during the week, especially the coming down of oil price to about $68 per barrel, you can't just but think that Nigeria might have to do a lot of borrowing. The CBN have tried to intervene recently, on Friday, by injecting FX liquidity into the system. We must also ask ourselves, why are we so passionate about borrowing? As it stands now, we are passionate in two ways. Want to improve the life of our citizens, and then secondly, want to improve FX liquidity in the system to bring stability to our exchange rate. So when you look at these two very important keys in economic development, you can't just but help that this might not just be the end of our borrowing, especially with economics happenings around the world at the moment. Though it's challenging, but when you look at our borrowing, ordinarily, we should be excited about it because it's borrowing that should turn around the economy. But we've not been seeing that because of maybe the government is not telling us what they are really doing with some of them. They say power, you've not seen improvement in power. They talk about nutrition. You've not seen those nutrition value in terms of food in the hands of the average Nigeria eating 3 square meal. When they talk also about improving basic education, our educational system is still backward. We are not seeing any improvement in basic education. We are still seeing a lot of children out of school. When they talk about stimulus, I think cash transfer or economic stimulus to the less vulnerable, we seem to be enjoying a lot of corruption depending on which party is in power, depending on which party you belong to, then you enjoy those stimulus. So those are the challenges. Ordinarily, you could see effects of some of this borrowing in the lives of ordinary Nigerians, but we are not seeing that effect because maybe we don't have the structure to deal with some of these policies that we try to implement through borrowing.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Let me come to the studio here with the building who's here with us. First of a light question. Does it seem like Nigeria is being enabled? Does it seem like, I mean, we go cap in hand looking for loans, but we still get it even with the situation we find ourselves? Why is that? Is there something they're seeing in the Nigerian space that perhaps is encouraging them to borrow or loan Nigeria these monies?
Okay, as a simple question, simple answer to that would be that Nigeria has kind of postured itself to be doing the right things. I mean, by the last 2 years, the reforms this administration has carried out.
Good.
Taking out fuel subsidy, devaluing the naira. So those are like postures to international organizations.
I like that answer, and I'm going to ask another one. So, President Tinubu is doing good then?
It's posturing, doesn't mean it's doing good.
Well, hang on a second, but yes, fine. But then inflation's dropping. The subsidy has been taken out. So these are good attempts. These are good things. So yes. Judith, he is doing good at the end of the day. Let's give him his accolades where it is worth it.
Yes.
Accolades where it is worth it.
Judith, where are you going with
That's
this?
What you said now. I said it now.
She repeated what I said.
Yes.
In any case, what are the long-term effects, however, if we keep borrowing? What's going to happen down the line where we are looking at our situation that it's bad, but we still need to borrow?
So first things first, borrowing in itself is not bad. It's how you utilize the borrowed funds.
Okay.
And so as Dr. Mukhtar stated too, we have a wrong borrowing approach. We're utilizing borrowing and we're not seeing the effect of this borrowing. And so long term, when there's a pattern of borrowing and then the Nigerians, citizens are not seeing impact of that, it tends to weaken investors' confidence to come in and deploy their funds in the long run. Also, we're also on the part of fiscal unsustainability, looking at numbers. So currently, debt servicing to revenue ratio is above 90%. And we're just even servicing these loans. We're not having the returns to even repay them. We're just paying the interest on them. Also, if you consider a ratio like our debt to GDP ratio over about 51% right now, these are not really good numbers. So long-term impact is that we tend to like deter the investors we're trying to posture to attract.
I want Mr. Mohammed Mukhtar to answer that if Nigeria is doing good or not. Your take on that question I asked initially. Is the president himself doing good with this posturing that Abiodun says he's doing? Mukhtar?
Well, it depends on what you're looking at. It depends on what you're looking at. Is the president really doing good? It is borrowing. Like I said, the results are not showing that we are doing well with our borrowing because power have not improved, household nutrition have not improved, basic education has not improved. The only place that you could say that the president have done well in his borrowing, then you could say infrastructure. We are seeing, especially road network, railway, infrastructure, we are seeing a lot of activities in those spaces. We are seeing a lot of new infrastructures coming up in those places. That is where you can say the borrowing is doing very well. And some of these, if you think in terms of infrastructure, some of those projects have a means of paying off if we are well managed, especially if it's a PPP type of project, like what we are seeing in the Calabar Coastal Road. We heard the minister saying they could be towing as early as December. And so some of the projects have a means of generating. When you talk about power have a snowball effect, improving business climate, improving productivity. So all these are things we can look at. When we talk about power, even when you borrow for power, you don't see those immediate results because it's not something like you just buy like a telecom mast. We are comparing them with the telecom sector. You just put the mast and have good calls. There's a lot of fabrication. There's a lot of issue. There's a lot of gas. You need to look at gas, look at placement. So those ones will take time. But the one that we actually wanted to see immediate result is in the lives of the ordinary Nigerian, like basic education should have improved by now. And also we should have seen improvement in the area of the life of the ordinary Nigerian, especially with this stimulus in terms of intervention, either direct intervention to cash transfer and all that. We should have seen some improvement. So those are the areas that we think that this borrowing has not really done well. But when you look at the overall pressure, if you score in these three areas, if you score 2/3, I think you've done well. But again, the one that you're not doing well is the one that really affects those in the bottom. And so that means you need to add up the network work. So your 2/3 should have given you about 90%. But because you're not doing, just like when you set up an examination question, some questions will carry 10 marks, some will carry 2 marks, and some will carry 15 marks. So if you look at it, 10 marks, maybe the president have done well, 2 marks, the president have done well. But in the area of 15 marks, then you feel it. So you could be saying that you've not done very, very well.
You're reminding me of JAM.
And the trick to winning those such examinations is always to go for the questions with the highest marks, so you can win, so you can at least score, get a pass mark.
True.
But anyway, let's look at something, right? Mukhtar, I have to ask you: does the depreciation of the naira influence the real value of Nigeria's external debt? I know that last year they did come out to say that they were doing well in terms of debt servicing, and that the overall the share size of it sort of shrunk. But analysts like yourself had said it could be when it comes to the depreciation of the naira. Has it done anything in sort of mitigating the external debt that we owe?
Well, when you look at that, yes, it does. But again, you should give credit to the CBN over the weekend. They told us, I mean, during the week, I don't think it's over the week. During the week, they were celebrating the 23 billion reserve that I normally call it the real reserve that we have compared to the 41 billion that is there. When you come from a low of 3.8, you go to a low of 14, then you're 923, then it calls for celebration, and that means forward payment. We can do that for the next 6 months. And so that's one area that sometimes you look at government, look at those areas and say, you know what, if we can do 6 months forward payment, we can also borrow more. So I think that when looking at those areas, you said, okay, if I started my life in 2022 and I had just $3.9 billion, and in 2025, at the beginning of 2025, or well, I say 2024, because you're talking about the year end, and I have 23 point something billion. That's a remarkable improvement, and I've been able to service some of my debt. Be it maybe some of those debts are not yet being serviced. That's another thing. Some of these debts we start servicing this debt maybe 10 years from now. So it might not be this administration that will really bear the brunt of some of these debts. It might be the incoming administration or future generation that are paying off some of these debts. So that is why it seems better for them. But there's a lot of challenge. Like we said, crude oil production is still low. Now we are having crude oil price being low come at the same time. So it's going to be a very challenging period for Nigeria going forward. But like my colleague in the studio said, when you look at those reforms could be a game changer if they're implemented with all sincerity of purpose and direction. If that is done, then we could see what happened sometime in 2008 when the world economy was in turmoil, but Nigeria was able to go out of it because of a very healthy reserve. Even if this reserve is not healthy, maybe the reform will cover up for the unhealthy nature of the reserve. But these reforms are driven without, some people will say without human face, some people will say without adding value to the economy yet, even if it has been going on for 2 years. But what I normally ask ourselves, this is a surgery that we should have conducted maybe 15, 20 years ago. If you're a human being and you're supposed to have a surgery 10 years ago and you delay that surgery and you do it 15 years later, the pain is much, because at that time your body system is not like it was 15 years ago. I think we are feeling this pain because we've not put ourselves in a stage to conduct this surgery, even when we should have done it. But now we are doing it. It's very painful, but as it stands now, there's no going back on that. That's just the way forward. Any attempt to go back on that, we'll see that it could be catastrophic for the Nigerian economy.
All right. Let me come to the studio here and ask Abiodun as well. Considering the sectors that are targeted for this loan, we have education, power, women's empowerment. Is it necessary? I mean, women's empowerment is necessary, but would it be utilized? Can we ensure that there's sort of transparency and accountability with these funds being channeled for its economic benefits?
So you already said the keywords, transparency and accountability, and that's one thing the Nigerian government over the years has lacked in. So because we don't have transparency and accountability, we doubt the utilization of these funds when it comes to sectors like education, women empowerment, and the likes. So what we need to do better going forward is to ensure that when we utilize these funds, there's more transparency in it, and we are able to measure the impact this has on the subject itself. So it just boils down to political will. We need to exercise that political will to ensure that there's transparency in how these funds are deployed, and then we can track the measurable progress and on the impact of the people that it gets to.
All right. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we ask the important questions, which is, of course, the lessons that can be learned here and what is at stake when it comes to food crisis and debt crisis that we face in Nigeria. Just after the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. Earlier, we're talking about debt servicing as Nigeria is gearing up for another loan, or rather, it owes the World Bank $38.88 billion, and it is now, the federal government has now secured an additional $1.95 billion in loans from the World Bank. And these are now going to be channeled for women's empowerment, education, and power. And this move has sparked quite a lot of reaction, plus debate in all quarters, as critics have said this is not necessary at this time. My guest today is Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. He joins me live via video chat, and also here in the studio is, of course, Mr. Ayotunde Abiodun. He's an analyst of SBM Intelligence. And we both have been going through all of the stats and just talking about the benefits of this and whether or not Nigeria is ready for yet another loan. Now, before the break, I was talking about accountability and transparency in implementing this yet another loan from the World Bank that is supposed to be shared across, women's empowerment, education, and power. But I have to ask you, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, right? I mean, when you think about the loans that we're taking, or better yet, the renewed agenda initiative that is being run by the president's wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the First Lady of Nigeria, the president's wife, the First Lady of Nigeria. She's done that, and I don't have the figures yet, but huge numbers have gone to the renewed agenda initiative. Same for all the senators under the APC umbrella. Is there not enough empowerment initiatives that's going on? Do we need more loans? 1.9, almost $2 billion loan for the World Bank to pump into more women empowerment initiatives?
Well, if you look at empowerment in any economy, it's largely driven by the private sector because of businesses have foundations that drive empowerment. Necessarily, government is supposed to create the enabling environment and intervene in some of those empowerment when they think that some sectors, or maybe some peoples or some sectors are not being empowered very well. But when you look at some of the empowerment you just talked about from the office of the First Lady, empowerment from the office of the first son of the president, it's the same office like that. And empowerment also, and also empowerment from the senators, members of the House of Representatives. It's very disjointed here. So you cannot even get a figure of it to combine it with that, what the government is doing. But in a civilized society, in a very, you could look at private sector development, how much the private sector, how much individuals, how much foundation have been able to impact in the economy. Then you see how much government also impacted in the economy. So because of this disjointed nature, sometimes government is almost doing the same thing like what those the private citizens are doing in their own capacity. So you don't seem to see results in them. I think that's the disjointed nature of some of this intervention, especially in the area of food. Intervention in families, and also intervention in the area of women development. You seem to, you're just looking at, we have not talked about the office of the First Ladies of the states, how they also are doing empowerment in one form or the other. But because this empowerment are not driven with purpose in terms of meeting specific need of the people, they are mostly driven by political agenda. You don't seem to get those results until you begin to empower your people based on the needs of the people, not based on your political political need or political constituency of what you want to achieve politically, then those results will not come in. Because, I mean, if a certain community is not politically inclined to you, despite their productivity, you will not want to empower them because you feel that you're empowering your enemy to take you out of power. So I think that's the major challenge that we have. But for the government intervention, I think it's just between the private sector and the government is disjointed.
It begs to ask whether or not this this empowerment or this loan that is going to be driven into women's empowerment is not even going to still be politicized, giving Nigeria's political terrain. But let me ask you, Mr. Abiodun, in context of global economic trends, right? How does Nigeria's debt situation compare to other emerging, economies? Particularly the fact that Nigeria needs to find a way to balance the need for infrastructural development with the imperative of maintaining a manageable debt profile.
So currently our debt situation is fairly decent. We're not yet at the point of a default, just like Ghana did 2 years ago, 2022. But we need to crucially manage our debt at this point. It's very important for us to prioritize how to change our borrowing approach. And we've been taking on a lot of borrowing. I think first, fundamentally, Nigerians have a very bad history when it comes to the word borrowing. And every Nigerian is not comfortable with the fact that the Nigerian government is borrowing. But first thing is this, borrowing in itself is not bad. We have more advanced economics take on even more loans than we do. But the difference in how they utilize this borrowing to service the needs of their people and drive economic development. So first, we need to change our approach to how we utilize borrowed funds. And then we must prioritize transparency and accountability and utilize these funds to generate economic returns so we can meet our repayment obligations. So basically, we just need to change our borrowing strategy.
All right. I mean, gentlemen, I must say thank you. Just a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer. It begs to ask a question about our internally generated revenue, our IGR, and whether or not we are producing enough to be getting yet another burden. Just a food for thought for us to go home with. Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO of Finance with Mukhtar, I want to say thank you. And also to you, Ayotunde Abiodun, analyst with SBM Intelligence. Thanks once again for joining us, gentlemen, to give us a bit of insight on our debt profile. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Let's switch gears now to talk about Lagos and traffic. 2 words you don't want to hear in a sentence. The recent closure of Lagos Independence Bridge for urgent repairs led to significant traffic congestion that causing frustration among commuters and residents. The federal government's decision to reopen the bridge ahead of schedule aimed to alleviate the gridlock. But the move has sparked criticism regarding the planning and communication of such infrastructural projects. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, ordered the immediate reopening of the bridge following public outcry over the severe traffic disruptions. Now, while the reopening has provided temporary relief, concerns remain about the long-term structural integrity of the bridge and the potential need for further closures to complete comprehensive repairs. Bernard Akere, News Central's correspondent, filed this report during the week. Let's take a look.
The chaos on Lagos roads on April 2nd was triggered by this. Maintenance work on the Independence Bridge. Frustrated commuters were left stranded for hours, battling gridlock that stretched for miles.
They say 2 months they are going to close. It's going to be big problems suffer. Because this is 2 bridges linking only all your island and all everything. I don't know how much we're going to be suffer. Supply water will come because this side no industries. Industry is this side. So everything, food and everything should become this side also. How we're going to be suffer?
I just coming from Lekki to 1004 Estate. I take more than 4 hours to reach 1004 Estate yesterday. And now I just want to go to Semes to get some material to do my work. And I have to trek from 1004 to this body camp now. I'm looking to get towards TBS, whether I can get a bus. You can see how I'm sweating.
By the morning of April 3rd, government officials arrived to inspect the situation. First, the Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation came, followed by the Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who apologized to Lagosians for the hardship caused by the closure.
Because of the inadequate communication you know, and I will take responsibility, ineffective communication that because they had started even before then, you know, so you just assume that people are aware. No, you know, you have to continue. Communication is enforcement. You have to continue before, you know, people now make alternative plans to be able to use other routes and other, you know, corridors, you know, out of it. And so one of the things that will also be...
The governor also addressed the statement put out by the Minister of Works, David Umahi, ordering the immediate reopening of the bridge.
My brother, my friend, the Honorable Minister, we are the ones on ground right here, and you can see for yourself. It's not about name mentioning or blame game or anything. We are in the same government, and we know that the intendment are good intentions. Like I keep saying, it is because there is a disaster for over 3 years. If you have a contract for over 3 years and you've not been able to fully implement the thing, if anything happens, you will be one of the people that will say that, why did you not take this difficult decision?
However, just hours later, the Honorable Minister of Works flew in from Abuja for his own assessment. To the surprise of many, he contradicted the governor's timeline, ordering that a temporary solution be put in place within 3 days. This, he said, would allow the bridge to reopen for 2 weeks before full repairs continue.
Unfortunately, when the bridge was to be closed, I was not informed. The controller did that on her own, and it's very unfortunate because for a bridge to be closed, especially in Lagos, as you know, has been the tradition, I should be informed, and so there will be consequences. Disciplinary action for this. So what we are doing now is to restore the bridge temporarily within the next 3 days. By Sunday, this place will be totally open. And then after 2 weeks, we will look at the settlement. And then we will take out 3 days to put the permanent structure.
The conflicting statements have left many Lagosians wondering, how did such a major project begin without proper coordination? And with the minister hinting at possible sanctions, the big question remains, who will be held accountable? For now, commuters can only hope that the temporary fix will ease their suffering. But this incident has once again highlighted concerns over government coordination in handling critical infrastructure projects.
No blame game, says the governor. We want to give the people the best experience on the bridge. There may be sanctions, says the minister. Nobody should take actions without his knowledge. But for the people, all they want is safety and convenience of movement. The Independence Bridge drama continues, and the people clearly hope that when the bridge is completely done, it will be safe and movement will be restored. In Lagos for News Central, Bernard Akede.
And to look into this issue, we're joined by Bernard Akede, correspondent at News Central, who brought us that report. Bernard, a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. So much, I think the highlight of this week is either, I don't know, Natasha Akpoti recall, or was it Independence Bridge for Lagosians? I'm hard to tell. It's hard to tell between the two, the highlights of the week. But just give us an overview, right? Your report does a fantastic job in just giving us a timeline and all that's happened with the two, both the Minister of Works and also the governor. But this speaks to miscommunication, lack of communication. Your take?
Well, you could call it, well, first of all, good morning, Mazino, good morning, Judith. Yes, you could call it miscommunication, but it's difficult to believe that there could be that kind of miscommunication. I mean, for the minister to say that he was not aware that the bridge had been closed and that rehabilitation work had started on such a strategic bridge in a city like Lagos, it's really, really difficult to believe. Calling it miscommunication could be putting it mildly and putting it lightly and trying not to apportion blame to anyone. But again, it's difficult to believe that this was a case of miscommunication. There hardly is any kind of construction as such, like this particularly, that will go on without the minister knowing. The minister also blamed his subordinate by saying that she did not give him full information. More often than not, you see them working hand in hand. There's hardly anything that she does in Lagos that he is not aware of in Abuja or wherever it is that he is. I remember when the whole drama of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway was ongoing, she was always there beside him, side by side. More often than not, we got information from her first whenever there was to be a sitting or a press briefing or any information at all. And then we arrive at the location where things are going to happen, and we see her and we see him, the minister himself, there. So it's almost like she is the minister's shadow when he's not around. You know, she is his representative, you know, in Lagos here. So it is quite difficult, you know, to call it miscommunication. But then when you want to bring miscommunication in, I think will be where the minister put out the statement on the night of Wednesday, after we saw that hellish traffic, like we've not seen before. And then the minister put out the statement saying that the bridge must be reopened immediately. And I guess he said that without actually knowing the state of work that had commenced on the bridge, because as at that time when that statement was put out, that particular portion of the bridge, like you see there, had already been dug up. By the time we got there the next morning, Thursday, it was completely dug up. So when the governor arrived, and I asked him the question there, saying, what does he make of the statement from the minister? With a slight chuckle on his face, he said, well, with all due respect to his brother, the Honorable Minister, we are the ones on ground here. We know what's happening. We can see the state of work. The minister cannot just say, the bridge should immediately be reopened and then traffic should commence or should resume on the bridge. Things have to be done. So on the one hand, yes, you can say miscommunication. On the other hand, it's difficult to believe.
And so it now takes us to the point of your homework, due diligence, and a synergy between both the state and federal level in this case. Lagos State is the commercial hub of Nigeria, and by extension, I would dare to say West Africa, you know, and a critical nerve in the system will clog everything. You peak a Wednesday, a day immediately after a public holiday, where schools are resuming, people are going back to work, and people are going back home to the state after celebrations back where they are, maybe their ancestral home or back to their, you know, their villages and the likes. Let's talk about, you know, that, which is just a synergy between the federal and the state, or collaboration. There we go.
Now, the minister said that if they were to handle, or if he and his team were to handle this, were to pass out information and were to handle the rehabilitation of the bridge, that they would have done it differently. If they were to handle the redirection of traffic, they would have done it differently. If they were to handle the information dissemination about the closure of the bridge and the works that were to go on, they would have done it differently. I will play devil's advocate a little bit for the Lagos State government, in the sense that the government did announce that the bridge was going to be closed earlier. I think 21st of March was the initial date. However, they now moved it to the 1st of April. And that was the last day of the two-day public holiday, which was Tuesday, Tuesday last week. And then, however, I think the challenge here is that, and the governor did say that he takes blame for that, that information that was put out was not sufficient, one. Two, was not legible enough. I think sufficient encompasses everything. You know, you want to close such a strategic bridge. Whatever information concerning that should be everywhere, on TV, on social media, I beg your pardon, and very legible signboards, possibly with neon signs that will flash in the eyes of motorists and commuters, such that you're driving around Lagos, you see the sign directly in your faces in so many places. And I think this was what was not done eventually. And that's why we had that hellish traffic. So the bridge was closed on Tuesday, public holiday. And on Wednesday morning, like you clearly stated, people are resuming work like the first working day of the week. And if you know that particular point, you would understand how strategic that portion of the road is to the island and the mainland. That makes different places. I mean, you can just tell.
Yeah, and would you say that means that to an extent the governing class is out of touch with the realities and the lived experience of Nigerians?
I mean, this has put in perspective, you can actually accuse the governing class or the government class of that. You know, you can't accuse them of being out of touch because, and here's the truth, right? We say this a lot at the office and in several gatherings, that the people and the governed and the government are living in alternate realities. If the governed are going to drive, even if 3 portions of roads in Lagos are blocked, they'll go with sirens and they'll have chauffeur-driven cars, and you know, the roads will be cleared for them to move around. So that's a totally different reality from what the people would face. If there's a blockage in the road, you and I will stay hours in traffic. there are areas that are cordoned off, we would have to find alternative routes. Whereas the governed, or rather the governing class, will have these roads open for them. We'll have traffic cleared. In some cases, traffic will be halted in some places so that they can go ahead before traffic continues. So yeah, I agree with you. It once again goes to show the difference in balance, between the governing class and the governed.
Right.
And this extends even up to traffic usage, as you clearly can see in this case.
Right. And again, ill-planned, poor management of traffic, not enough manpower on ground to so much was going on that day. So much can be pointed to what really went wrong. But let's also look at the assessment or the bridge itself. I watched an interview where the minister was talking about the situation of the bridge and why they needed to, the structural issues of the bridge and why it needed to be reassessed and maintained and why the closure was necessary, And it made me wonder, so why did you open it when you know that it's necessary, for you to close it and build it? But away from that, let's talk about climate change. Climate change and its impact. The Independence Bridge is on the water, right? And he complained about the piling, which is bringing it down, and just the integrity of it and all of the other, infrastructure that we have in Lagos that is necessary, that is a nerve. Are we going to be seeing more of the structural issues and, closure and repairs and maintenance across Lagos, given climate change and the rising water situation, rising water levels?
I'd like to say that, yes, I want to believe that we're going to see, a couple of repairs in and around the city of Lagos, being that Lagos is a coastal city. The minister himself, between Thursday, I think it was, yes, and Friday, I know that on Friday and today and yesterday, Saturday, he went around certain other bridges. Our colleague Israel Iferobo was part of the team that went with him. Went around several, bridges, even went on water to inspect the under parts of these bridges to see how well these bridges are doing. And if you're one who drives around Lagos a lot, you would notice that there are some bridges that clearly need repairs. The most recent and major one was the Third Mainland Bridge, and we see how well that is looking right now. But besides that, there's so many other bridges that have, that have lost strength in terms of wear and tear, right. Climate change, right. The level of usage, and of course the population in Lagos, the number of people and vehicles that have been plying those bridges. There has to be some kind of, periodic maintenance for these bridges in Lagos. We don't have to wait until we begin to see the adjoining metal or the joints that stick out, directly, which we're not supposed to see on a regular basis. We don't have to wait until parts of the bridges are beginning to be chopped off, or we're beginning to see potholes on bridges before we know that these bridges, deserve to be maintained, before we now begin to cordon those bridges off and then start having issues. There's another bridge heading into Marina, if you're coming from the mainland into the island, once you go past Eco Bridge, that has potholes just before you descend into the Marina. That, I believe, at some point would be cordoned off sooner than later, and that's one of many. So yes, all these elements that you've mentioned are causes for concern, and there are reasons why these bridges may be closed at certain points in time. However, we don't need to wait until these things really become so bad before these actions begin to be put into place, basically.
So foresight and initiative and proactiveness from the government. 3 words that we're still waiting to see. But lastly, before I let you go, just looking at the crowd, you said something. You said wear and tear from overuse. But that means that, and that can only mean one thing, Nigeria and Lagos in and of itself, Lagos particularly, is densely populated. Should we start to bring to the fore the conversation of, divesting from Lagos, or better yet, opening other seaports to see that the population reduces and other people start to, Lagosians or Nigerians start to look at other parts of the country as a place to want to settle and have homes in? I am a Lagosian. I was born and brought up here. You were born and brought up here, but there are people that still coming every single day. And that's only because it's a commercial hub. The ports are open. It's more attractive to investors. What can the government do to, make other states attractive? Is it in the coffers of the state governments or the federal governments? What needs to be done?
I mean, this conversation is long overdue, and I want to believe that it's been had, on a daily basis. I'll be disappointed if this conversation has not gone deep, but I strongly want to believe that it has gone deep. On several occasions, when the governor speaks, he talks about the population of Lagos and how there has to be diversification of different things and of different things in the state. One, yes, definitely, we need to begin to talk about how to move certain businesses to different parts of Lagos and not just center them in certain places. Like the governor mentioned, this area that we saw having most of the traffic on that fateful Wednesday is CBD, Central Business District.
Right.
And so we need to find a way to diversify business from just the island and move to other places. There are places that also have, that also are at the shore of the sea. We have Ekwe, we have Badagry. We have Ikorodu, as a matter of fact. We need to begin to see development in front of the waterways in these parts of Lagos. That's one. Now, besides Lagos, you also did mention that we have people coming into Lagos because of the opportunities that are present in Lagos, like you have in many other metropolitan cities across the globe. It is now time for other states, state governors, state governments to begin to improve their own states, right? Bring in the opportunities, bring in investors so that people can actually live and work in other places and then still come back into Lagos if they want to. It would be surprised to find out that the closest state to Lagos, which is Ogun State, that you would have thought that the development spirit from Lagos would have somehow spread into that state. It's kind of different.
Right.
Such is not the case. You will see the gulf of difference in terms of development. And that's why you still have so many people coming from Ogun into Lagos to work and live, where they could just work here and go back there to live. So it's going to take a collective effort of the Lagos state government and other governments close to or bordering Lagos State, so that the brunt of the work or responsibility does not fall on Lagos State government alone. It's difficult, I must confess. It's difficult to govern a state like Lagos, knowing that Lagos is pretty much the most populous state in the country and not exactly the biggest in terms of land mass. So yes, there will be challenges. But then all these conversations, like I said, it's long overdue for us to be having these conversations.
Oh, right. Absolutely. We need to bring it to the fore. I remember back in the day, back in secondary school, where I went to a boarding school, it was predominantly girls, and all of the people, and I met girls who didn't live in Lagos. They lived in Bokos, they lived in, Nasarawa. But when I think back now, I realize they were mostly posted there. They never really chose to live there, if that makes any sense. But Bernard, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on. Bernard Akeda there, just giving us a bit of insight following the Independence Bridge repairs, as it brought us all of the information there, and also the criticism that has trailed the closure and reopening from that, and also the hellish traffic that happened over the week. Once again, Bernard, many thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Let's go to a short break, shall we? When we return, it's time for us to bring you the breakfast headlines here on News Central Television. Don't go anywhere. And it's time for us to bring you breakfast headlines. We begin in the west of the continent, where the governor of Anambra State in Nigeria, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has been nominated as the flag bearer of his party, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, for the November 8th, 2025 governorship election in the state. The incumbent, who was returned unopposed, polled over 300 votes during the primary, which was held in Oka on Saturday. Voting was conducted for the delegates from all the 21 local government areas in the state to either tick yes or no on the ballot. After the voting exercise, votes were sorted and counted. In the meantime, George Moghalu has emerged the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party in Anambra State. He polled a total of 575 votes to defeat John Nwosu, who scored 19 votes. A total of 601 delegates were accredited out of the 649 elected from the wards, with 597 votes were cast and 5 declared invalid. Chairman of the primary committee, Itana Bene, says he has faith in the ability of the party to win the gubernatorial election. The winner of the primary, George Moghalu, also expressed joy at the way the exercise ended and urged the party to work together for their common success at the poll.
George Moghalu from INEC North local government area haven't satisfied the requirements of the law, the Labour Party constitution, and primary election guidelines is hereby, I repeat, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected as the party's candidate, flag bearer for the November 8, 2025 governorship election.
We have said in and out of our rooms that we want to bring change. And that change starts from tomorrow morning. We must go to work. We must set our agenda. We must reach all the nooks and crannies of this state to let the people know why we decide to take this position. To sell the party to them so that they can join us in our desire to create a new narrative, in our desire to change the story of this state. Because Anambra is a blessed state. Anambra has all what it takes to be the #1 state in this country. We are not lacking in human and material capacity. What we need to do as a people, as a government, is to create a learning environment for our people.
Meanwhile, a governorship aspirant of the All Progressives Congress in Anambra State, Valentine Ozigbo, has expressed concerns about the delay process in the ongoing APC primary governorship election in the state. In his exclusive interview with News Central's correspondent Austin Azu, Ozigbo lamented the delay while expressing his optimism about securing victory in the poll. In the meantime, 1,630 delegates are expected to cast their votes or their ballots for the 3 aspirants contesting in the APC governorship primary in the state prior to November 8th, 2025 governorship election.
The primary of APC for the 2025 governorship election, and at the very major center for the accreditation where 2 major zones, the Anambra Central and Anambra South, are doing the accreditation. This is where we are. And if you look at the time, it's about a few minutes to 6 p.m. This is a process that ought to have started before 10 a.m. And it's already 6 p.m. almost, and we are just starting. It's not a very impressive record. I wish we don't have to keep people like this, like refugees here. We're talking about over 1,630 people gathering, and much more than that, are roaming around. So, but however, it's better late than never. I'm happy that finally has started. I've heard reports about irregularity happening in Anambra North, where they did the accreditation. That's at Marble Arc Hotel. I'm going to drive there to see for myself how somebody came, addressed them, and no accreditation, not like what is happening now where people are coming one by one, ward by ward, local government by local government. That's not what happened. Within 5-10 minutes, they told everybody there, okay, can I head to the Women Development Center for the men voting. So if that be the case, then clearly they have to redo the entire accreditation. I'm going to insist on that. So I'm going to go there, find out for myself. But so far, I'm optimistic that as long as this process is going on, I will emerge the candidate of the party for APC.
And away from politics, Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has condemned the recent wave of violent attacks in Mangona, Joshua, and Dafo communities of Bokos local government area of Plateau State, where many homes were razed to ashes and lives lost. In a press statement, Governor Mutfwang urged victims of the attacks to exercise restraint and avoid reprisals. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe gives us an update from Jos, Plateau State.
Though the figures are yet to be confirmed by the state's authorities, many lives were reportedly lost in the recent attack in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. While condoling with families of the victims, Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang called for restraint. In a statement by the Commissioner for Information, Joyce Ramnap, the governor assured citizens that his administration will get to the root of these calamities. Residents are, however, worried that if not checked, these renewed attacks may throw Plateau back into a state of insecurity.
To our minds, it's an economic warfare. We're being denied our homes, we're being denied our lands, and we're not able, our people and loved ones are not able to cultivate their livelihoods. So it's an attack on our very existence.
It's sad that we've lost lives. It's sad that we've lost properties. And it is equally sad that we were almost celebrating stability on the plateau because for over a reasonable number of months, there hasn't been any issue of this magnitude. And so for this to surface at this very particular point in time is quite sad for us.
I wish to condole with the government and people of Plateau State over this unfortunate security breach caused by insurgents and terrorists. And we want to also commend the security forces for ensuring that it did not expand beyond the level we're in.
Being aware of how bad things can get in terms of insecurity in the state, the way forward is a major concern for many citizens.
We have various success stories of our security agencies. We also want to use this opportunity to call on the communities to take advantage of community policing, to strengthen the vigilantes around, and also to ensure that the community police relationship is improved.
It shouldn't just be condemnation or promises about bringing lasting peace. Right? At this point, the people of Bokos deserve justice, they deserve closure, and they deserve an end to this senseless violence.
This is also a wake-up call to every community. People must be alert. People must sit up and take charge of securing their properties and take charge of securing their land in collaboration with security agencies.
In spite of the assurances from the state government that it will restore sanity and security of both lives and property in the state, the question on the lips of many is, how much longer will the people of Plateau State have to wait before the state reclaims its gold glory as the home of peace and tourism? In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyowi.
And that's all the breakfast headlines we can take in this hour. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, there's more on the other side. And this time, it's time for us to celebrate our weekend warrior. After the break, stay with us.
Welcome. It's time for our weekend warrior. I like to call it weekend warrior position, but time for weekend warrior. Welcome. Now, in a world where barriers often define limitations, 15-year-old Nigerian teen Kanye Tagbo has proven that neither age nor autism can stifle brilliance. With a brush, a vision, and a heart full of expression, Kanye has just been named a Guinness World Record holder for the largest painting on canvas. The artwork, a vibrant explosion of color and emotion, spans an incredible 3,000 square meters, capturing both the eye and the soul. Kanye, who has autism, crafted his masterpiece with the support of his family and also community. More than just a record, this feat is a celebration of creativity, inclusiveness, and determination. It shows what can be achieved when talent is nurtured, not judged. Now, his story challenges stereotypes, showing the world that autism is not a limitation, but a different kind of brilliance waiting to be recognized.
Oh, yes, indeed. And so from global media outlets to proud Nigerian institutions, accolades have poured in for Kanye's achievement. What's more inspiring is how he uses his art as a means of communication, painting what words sometimes cannot say. This canvas was not just the largest, it was the loudest voice he's ever spoken with. His passion for art and discipline in his creative journey sets a stellar example for other young talents, neurodiverse or not. Kanye's accomplishment has created ripples for far beyond Nigeria, bringing global attention to the vibrance and potential of African youths in creative sectors. The work is now on display and has become a symbol of possibility and a cultural landmark. Even educators and mental health advocates are hailing the record as a beacon of hope and progress for children with special needs.
So as he stood beside the overwhelming artwork during the unveiling, Kanye radiated quite, well, the pride, you could say. Now, he might not speak much, but his canvas says it all. One brushstroke at a time, he's rewriting the narrative for young Africans with autism. Through his lens, the world is not black and white. It's bold, it's boundless, and brilliantly colorful. The journey to the record was not just physical, it was also deeply symbolic. It included months of work, emotional highs and lows, and a strong circle of support. Kanye's resilience is perhaps, well, the most outstanding expression and also artistic part of his entire masterpiece. His story is not just about art, but about courage.
Oh, yes, indeed. And so from all of us at Breakfast Extra, we salute this young trailblazer, Kanye Togba Okeke. That's Kanye Yachuku Togba Okeke. We are proud and we are happy to have that greatness that you have showed. And also we admire your resilience and your courage and of course your permission. And what you've done is your greatness is proof that you don't wait for permission. You know, with boundless admiration, we officially name you our Breakfast Extra Weekend Warrior. So Kanye Yachuku Tagbo Okeke, congratulations to you. And you are Breakfast Extra's Weekend Warrior. Woo-hoo! And just like that, he joins us live. Please, everyone, welcome the mother and, of course, the Guinness World Record holder himself, Kanye Yachuku Tagbo Okeke, along with his mother, Sylvia Tagbo Okeke, and, of course, his father as well, Mr. Tagbo Okeke. Everyone, congratulations and well done.
Nigeria celebrates you. What a feat, what an achievement, what a beautiful piece of artwork, what a big, bold voice, Kanye. But Mommy, let me start with you. I saw in a report where you told about what you guys went through, but how after it was accomplished, it felt like, yes, it was all worth it. Please tell us about the experience, the journey to this Guinness World Record.
Thank you very much. I have to say thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Wow, the journey was, it was hard. It was hard. Emotionally, psychologically, driving to the school every morning, staying with Kanye, making sure that he was physically, mentally, and emotionally set for the world record. My husband and I, we had to, work together, not only us, the whole family. It was a whole community, both extended, our nuclear, friends, family, government, everybody worked together to make sure that this worked. In fact, I can't emphasize how tough the journey was, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It took a lot from us, a lot. But on April 2nd, my husband and I, we looked at each other and we said, whatever we have gone through, it was worth it for Kanye. And if we have to do it again, we will do it the same way. We won't change anything.
Oh, that's beautiful. Mr. Tagbo Okeke, I have to ask you as well, just the emotions you were feeling when that painting was completed, or rather, better yet, when he received that plaque to being a world Guinness record holder for the person with the largest canvas. How did that feel?
For me, it was, I was so proud. I was really, really proud, and I've always been very, I've always been very amazed by Kanye's works since he started painting. Every time, I've said it in several interviews that Kanye just gets colors, he puts them together, he puts it on the canvas. At the very beginning, it looks like as if he's just splashing paint all over the place, and then all of a sudden, when he's done, once he tells you he's done, he gets away from the canvas. You look at it when the paint is drying up, and it's amazing. It's always amazing. So I've always been fascinated I'm not an artist, and my wife is not an artist as well, but we can appreciate and love the good art that kind of keeps on churning out. And then, of course, it's my son. So I might even expect that I will be even more blown away knowing that this is my own child that is doing this. On that day when he was given the certificate, I was almost moved to tears. I think because there were so many people around, and we were moving around, that we had to say hello to this people, and we were moving, and everybody wants to take pictures. I think that was what kept the emotions at bay. If probably we had been alone, I'd probably sit in the corner and just shed tears of joy, because it was wonderful. I'm a very proud man today. Very, very proud. Thank you.
The Tagbos, okay, I do have to ask. Behind you are paintings. Please tell me, are those the works of Kanye as well?
Yeah, yes, they are.
Oh, wow.
The entire house is a mini gallery. We have over 80 paintings in this house, paintings all over the place, and so all the walls has Kanye's paintings everywhere.
Wow. I would like to
beautiful.
be a collector of one of them.
That is beautiful. And I'm wondering how you managed his condition with the mammoth crowd and personalities that he actually pulled in. I saw a picture with Peter Obi there. I saw the former record holder also there. And many dignitaries actually came through. So in the world of autism, handling children who have autism is a very peculiar kind of effort. So I'm wondering how you were able to balance this out so he is not perhaps maybe overwhelmed at the situation. If Mrs. Tagbo could please help us give that, describe how you went about this.
It started a couple of years back. My husband and I, whenever we went for an event, we noticed that he got really, really overwhelmed, and it was really hard to manage. And normally you give them this noise cancellation headphones and say, how long can you continue to use that? So we had to do something tough love. So we said, where is the noisiest place in Abuja? So we started taking him to Wuse Market. That had its own downside, because every time we go to Wuse Market, we have to buy him clothes because he loves clothes. So we started going to Wuse Market because it was really noisy. Initially, it was very hard, but after a while, he got used to the noise. Now, no matter how noisy, how crowded a place is, he can be able to accommodate and adjust. So that's how he was able to overcome that sensory issue that he had with the noise and people around.
I'm wondering how long it had been since you guys had this in view, because you said 2 years ago you guys started going to Wuse Market. So is this how long you've actually had this?
Yes, it was a continuous process. It was hard. Initially, we have to practically hold him to us so that he doesn't run away or, but we kept at it. And that's what we tell parents, just keep doing it. And after a while, you see light at the end of the tunnel. You might take one step forward and then 200 steps back, but don't give up. That's what we kept doing. Now, no matter the crowd, Kanye is calm and is able to function, because we had to do that so that he can be able to function in a crowded environment.
I see him smiling at you there. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, he adores his parents. It's very clear. All the videos I've seen, I can tell he adores his parents. Mr. Tagbo Keke, I do have to ask, Kanye Achukwu, he is an advocate for children on the spectrum through his work. And seeing how far he has come, of course, like you said, it's a proud moment for you and you're moved to tears. But let's widen it, for children who are also on the spectrum, who do not have access and who do not have the support that Kanye does have. What would be your message to parents watching?
The three things which has kept us, has put us where we are right now. And one of them is patience. What you do between when you find out your child is on the spectrum and when you get to discovering his gift, what you do in between that period matters a lot. So you have to be very, very patient. You have to be also very, very consistent with whatever that it is you're doing. Do not look at the fact that the child is not teachable, because most times they're not teachable, especially at the beginning. Do not look at the fact that the child is not listening to what you say, is not following your instructions, is not communicating with you, because they're not going to. Most of them are not going to communicate with you. Do not look at the fact that your child is non-verbal. Kanye was non-verbal as well. Now he still has limited verbal skills, but we still communicate. We still talk to him. He still follows prompts as much as he can. So in between that period when you realize that your child is on the spectrum and when you begin to see a little bit of progress, you must be very patient. It might take a year, 2 years, 3 years. It might take more than that. It might take 5 years. But I always say that at one time, something is going to definitely shift. Something must shift if you're consistent with what you're doing. And if you're actually doing something, not leaving the child as well. So that is number 2. Do not leave your child. Do not leave your child to caregivers alone. Do not leave your child to Google alone. Do not keep looking at Google and allowing Google to tell you what to do. No. Establish a relationship with your child. Establish some form of communication with your child. It is, if you have other children as well, pull them into that circle. If you have family members around you all the time, pull them into that circle. Let the child keep seeing a consistent family orientation taking place. Let the child keep seeing a consistent family union, family communication. If he's not laughing with you, laugh with the other kids in front of him or her. If he's not speaking with you, speak with the other kids in front of him or her. I remember at one time, Kanye would not communicate. But when I'm communicating with his brother, and I'm telling the brother what to do, and as I'm telling the brother what to do, you and Kanye, go and do this. You and Kanye are going here now. Go get dressed. You and Kanye, get dressed right now. And as I'm saying it, he'd be looking, and then all of a sudden, he would, one day, he starts to do the same thing. He would now be following the brother. So that also happens when you are showing affection to the brother or the sister, and he's there. So for some reason, he would realize what you're doing to this sibling, you will do it to me if I do the same thing the sibling is doing. So you must do that. Number 3 is fight stigmatization. Yeah. Fight it with all the energy you have. Most of the time, the reason why everybody keeps the child away, most of the time the people are disinterested in what the child is doing, is stigmatization. You come out and you see people looking at your child funny. That will come. But the more we are able to spread awareness, the more we are able to talk to society, the more we are able to let people know that these children are special, these children are gifted, and these children, if you treat them, especially if you are able to actually take your time, do the first 2 things, you will harness the gifts which they have. All of them have gifts. All children are built, all children are created for signs and wonders. All children are created for exceptional gifts, and they have those gifts. The normal kids, the kids on the spectrum, the kids with Down syndrome, the kids with cerebral palsy, all kids, special needs or not, they all have special gifts. But you have to take out time to harness those gifts. And the first thing you need to do, one of the first things you need to do is fight stigmatization. Most people hide the children, keep the children away from the rest of society, and because they're embarrassed. Mothers do it. Fathers do it as well. Uncles and aunties do it. It starts with the father, it starts with the mother. It starts with the immediate family, should the father and mother not be available. Once you back your child with all that you have, the rest of society will have no choice but to accept your child as well. Once they see that if your child is having a sensory overload in public, if your child is having a meltdown, throwing a tantrum, and you're not embarrassed, people can see it written on your face. You're not embarrassed, you might be concerned, but you're not embarrassed. You're there with him, standing there with him. I remember my wife and I, when when Kanye went to see the president of UNICEF in New York, right there in his office, as he was presenting a painting to him, Kanye had a sensory overload. My wife and I sat on the floor with him while we had dignitaries all over the place in New York, but we sat on the floor.
Well,
and
Mr. Keke-Takpo,
and then they got canvas and got paint.
I would like to say thank you for a masterclass in an education for parents with children living with this, in the spectrum. Unfortunately, we can't do so much here on this segment because it's such limited time and we have other conversations. But I'm so carried away with the expert advice that you're giving so far. I'm going to give you just 30 minutes to round up. So 30 seconds, rather, to round up so I'm not cutting out the details. So if you can do that in 30 minutes.
Seconds.
Seconds. My apologies. In 30 seconds, we'd appreciate it, sir.
Okay, so that's it. So I'm rounding up already. So that's it, stigmatization. That's the monster in the room. Fight stigmatization. Pull your child out. Hold your child. Show your child love in public. The public will have no choice but to show that same child love as well. And then from there, we begin to build. We create a village for the child. Create that security for the child. The child knows that he is secure. The child it won't stop him from doing what he does, but it will also now give him the opportunity to begin to come out and assert himself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kayachuku Tagbo Okeke, for gracing us with your presence. You are a record holder. We don't see such around.
It's a lovely artwork. It's very colorful. I couldn't have done it. I don't think
no, you cannot. You're not on the spectrum. You're not Kanye. Kanye, congratulations to you, and also congratulations to Daddy and Mommy as well. And thank you for coming on the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Goodbye. Oh, I hate to let them go.
Oh gosh, I really do.
Look at the. I don't know. That's just emotional. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. Let's take a break so we can soak all of that in.
I know.
And we'll be right back.
And welcome back. It's time to get started with our big story for this hour. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has recently rejected a petition seeking the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, representing Kogi Central Senatorial Districts. This development follows a series of political tensions and allegations involving the senator and other political figures. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has been at the center of controversies involving and including a suspension from the Senate and allegations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The rejection of the recall petition adds another layer to the ongoing political dynamics in Kogi State. And so joining us in the studio to give us a bit of legal insights into this matter is Kabir Akimbolu. He's a seasoned legal practitioner and he's here with us in the studio. So welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure for having me on the program.
Pleasure is all mine. Let me just start with all that's going on with the Senate President, the House of Senate, and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
Yes.
What's your comment? What's your take?
Well, it looks like a drama. And the whole thing is looking uninteresting. And again, it's raising a question mark as to the integrity of our political office holder, as well as a bleak future for our political development and electoral emancipation. When you look at it from whatever angle you look at it, you discover that it's like a game of witch hunting. Do you understand? I don't know Natasha from anywhere. I don't know the Senate President as well. However, it is better to discover what is right than who is right here. Now, with the way the whole thing looks like, it's looking as if you want to call a dog a bad name so that you can hang him. Right. You understand? You can hang it. Look at Akpoti Natasha, sorry.
Yes,
now, she got to the Senate, you know, she lost the election. On the day of the election, or a day to the election, the governor of Kogi State then went and barricaded the road, cut trees and all that to block the road, dug a big pit and all that, so that people will not have access to that area to vote and frustrate the people and herself. And the woman, you know, she woke up before daybreak too, she covered the ditch and ensured that there was a free movement. That was before the election.
Before the election,
she won the election in a very dramatic or questionable circumstances. She was declared to have lost the election. She went to court. On getting to court, she got victory, she was reinstated or sworn in as a senator. She's there, and again, look at what happened between the Senate President and I said, we don't want to go into the merit. Yes. However, from the way it's looking like witch hunting to me. Oh, we don't like your face, we must make you to pay for it. Well, and again, when the issues came up, look at it, there is what they call nemo judice in consensual in law. You cannot be a judge in your own cause. Even God, when he created Adam and Eve, he gave them law, he still called them to hear from them. You didn't allow this woman to talk. You consulted a panel. The panel is bringing the report. You are still presiding over the Senate. It is wrong. From whatever angle you look at it, it's a breach of fair hearing, to fundamental right to fair hearing. Because you are the accuser, you are the prosecutor, you are the judge at the same time, and you are a party in the case. Akpabio was/is an interested party. So when they are bringing the report, he should have stepped down and allowed the Deputy Senate President to preside, and so that the people could see there is likelihood of neutrality.
The Senate Committee on Ethics, Petitions and Privileges have halted any hearing on that petition that was filed by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, saying that there's already a case in court. And that has now been thrown out, given that they said they would not join matters with any issue in court. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right. That's what they call sub judice. You understand? When a matter is sub judice, it means that the matter is pending in court. You cannot hear, any contrary opinion or a parallel opinion. However, once there are allegations like this, to discuss anything in relation to it, whether to continue sitting or not to continue sitting, the Senate President must recuse himself. That is the best standard practice. It happened during Sarakit period. When the allegations were raised, Sarakit stepped down. That is the best way to do it. You want to investigate me, and I'll still be the chairman of the panel.
It makes me wonder about checks and balances in the system, and that system, and especially in this current dispensation of our democracy. But we're going to come to that. Yeah. Let's just circle to the issue that is at play here, which is the recall.
Yeah.
Let's start from the basics.
Yes.
What are the constitutional provisions and processes that is involved in recalling a sitting
I think it is in the electoral. The law says that at least 25%, I think if I get it well, it was 25% of the registered voters in the area has to sign a petition for the recall. Now, in this circumstance, you are trying it, you want to do it, you have sent it, you got the required percentage and you have sent to INEC. INEC will now do its own check to cross-check those petitions, the signatories to those petitions. In Nigeria, it's easy for me to just, I can forge your signature if I want to for a purpose. You understand? Just to make it look like, oh, it came from you. Now, in these circumstances, they signed everything. They sent it to INEC. INEC, they have to take steps, they have to look at the merit or otherwise of that petition. And looking at it, INEC discovered to their dismay that all these petitioners or the signatories to this recall, they have no address. There is no way you can trace them. The law requires the address of the signatory, the names of the signatory, the phone number of the signatory. It's only the person who came to submit that has a contact.
And this gives INEC legal grounds to sort of reject that recall process.
Because on the face of it, it's not looking genuine. It's just like somebody who has reading petition that, oh, so person has embezzled money and refused to put his name anonymous. So anonymous people want to recall the woman. No. And we have to commend INEC here. When they are doing good work, we have to commend them. When they want to do bad, we have to also criticize them. In this circumstance, INEC has done well because INEC will have gone ahead and say, okay, we uphold it. And it will be difficult for the woman to uphold.
So how can we have a fail-proof, recall process then? Because this is really worrying. When we saw the videos of, this the team that was doing, the people, when they came in with the Ghana Must Goes and they were representing in front of a committee, anybody can do that then. How can we have a fail-proof recall process?
You see, the requirement of recall, I don't want to say it's impossible because never say never. However, it is a cumbersome process that can really be achieved. But maybe as we think along with this our democratic experience, with this civil routine, maybe we can understand, maybe we can get to that stage where it will be possible. Do you understand? Or if electronic voting is possible, maybe at that moment it may be easy for us to do it. But as it stands today, to recall anybody, it will be difficult. Don't forget they did it with, it's still the same Kogi. They did it with, I think, Dino Melaye, and it also failed because the requirement of the law is too cumbersome. It's a kind of equivalent task that only few people will be able to meet it. It's difficult. If it's a 25% of the registered voter or the voters in the area, how do you get it? Because most of the voters, some of them have died. Some of them have relocated out of Nigeria. Some of them have relocated from Kogi to Lagos to Ibadan to Enugu to Anambra to Adamawa, Yola, and the rest of them. So, who will come and sign? So, tendencies are that some people might just, who doesn't want the face of the woman, who can just sign it by proxy. Right. So, just to ensure that they send her away from the Senate.
There's another ruling that's been talk of town that we're going to talk about, which is the fact that both parties have gone on a media tour. And I'm saying both parties, both from the Senate President's camp and also from the Senator's camp, they've gone on a media tour. So much so that the courts have now ordered a restriction from all parties for media engagement. Does this violate any rights, human rights?
Not at all. Ordinarily, it's only in when Nigeria has turned to something, to what it is today. In the good old days, Nigeria, once a matter is in court, nobody, and that is still the law, and it is also the law anywhere, you are not permitted to make any comment, whether for or against, because anything that can jeopardize the outcome of the case, or that can, any precipitate step against that case should not be done at all. Do you understand? When you make a comment about a case pending in court, whether, oh, they have a good case, it is contemptuous. It's a contempt of court. When you say, oh, they don't have any case, it is also a contempt of court. So you are not permitted. But unfortunately, when we finish case, the press will come to us and will start to talk. Oh, we have this. You are not supposed to do it. So what the court has done is to state the obvious provision of the law, which is the normal thing to be done in the circumstances. Because when you see people commenting here and there, it has a way of swaying the mind of the people against the court itself. To say, oh, when they have popularized themselves on the social media that they have a good case, at the end of the day, the court throw it out as a bad case. They will say the judge, oh, maybe he has collected bribe, oh, maybe he's taking part, oh, maybe he's partisan or something, and so on and so on. So it's better not for anybody not to comment at all.
There's so much on this case that one has to look at. She's also alleged assassination attempts by the Senate President on her life. She's also, there's so much that's happening, which we're going to get into. So I'll ask that we put a pin on it. Just be patient with us. If you're tuning in, you're watching News Central. This is Breakfast Extra here on News Central Television. I am Judith Atibi. Let's pause this conversation as we're about to bring you sports news, and Udoka Unjoku is on standby. Udoka, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you for joining the sports segment on Breakfast Extra. And let's take a look at what's happening over there at the Nigeria Delta Sports Festival as Akwa Ibom's Itoro Basi cruised into the women's singles final at the Dakar Skill Acquisition Center after a dominant straight sets win over Edo's Lole Hosendorf, and Basi needed less than 30 minutes to book her place in the gold medal match. She will face her doubles partner, Favor James, who also impressed with a straight sets victory over River State's Timipre Maxwell. The much anticipated All Akwa Ibom final is scheduled for Sunday, with both athletes already securing medals. The final will determine who takes home gold medal in the women's singles events. From the Let's Talk Volleyball, as Nigerian clubs struggled on day 3 of the 2025 African Women's Volleyball Club Championship, both failing to fall into North African opponents. Nigeria Customs were outclassed by Tunisia's Carthage in straight sets, while Chief of Naval Staff Spikers lost 3-0 to Egypt's Zamalek. Elsewhere, Kenya Presence claimed their first win with a dominant 3-0 sweep over Spikers and Spiking Stars. Kenya Pipeline beat Lito Team Volleyball 3-1 after briefly losing the third set. Cameroon's Mayokani Evolution defeated Rwanda's APR 3-1 in a thrilling 4-set final. Moving on to football matters now, Hugo Duro scored a dramatic 95th minute winner as Valencia defeated Real Madrid 2-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu, ending their worst ever winless run at the venue. The win moves Valencia 7 points clear of the relegation zone. Mokhtar Diakabi headed past Real Madrid debutant goalkeeper Fran Gonzalez to give Valencia a surprise lead from an Andre Almeida corner. Jorge Mamadashvili denied Vinicius Junior's penalty after Kylian Mbappe was fouled. Real Madrid pressed for an equalizer with Jude Bellingham and Mbappe coming close. Vinicius Junior eventually leveled from Bellingham's flick early in the second half. But just as Real Madrid pushed for a winner, Duro struck late to give Valencia a famous victory and dent the Los Blancos titles charge. Moving on to the French Ligue 1, Paris Saint-Germain secured their 13th Ligue 1 title on Saturday with a 1-0 victory over Angers, thanks to a first-half goal from Desire Doe. The win moved PSG to 74 points, giving them an unassailable 24-point lead over second-placed Monaco, who have only 21 points left to play for. It marks PSG's fourth consecutive title since the 2012-2013 season, reinforcing their dominance in French football. Captain Marquinhos, who joined the team in 2013, made history by becoming the only player to win 10 Ligue 1 titles. Luis Enrique's side sealed the championship in front of their home fans, continuing a golden era for the Parisian Giants in the French top flight. Wrapping up with the world of Formula 1 now, Red Bull's Max Verstappen fended off a race-long challenge from McLaren's of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri to win the Japanese Grand Prix. The Dutchman's fourth consecutive victory at Suzuka was his first of the year and moves Verstappen to within 1 point of Norris at the head of the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen's drive was cool under intense pressure, with rarely more than 2 seconds between him and Norris. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, on an alternate tire strategy, took 7th position from 8th place on the grid, getting ahead of Racing Bull's Isaac Hadjar early in the race. And that's a wrap on Sport Update on Breakfast Extra. I am Udoka Njoku. Thank you for watching.
And many thanks to Udoka Njoku there for that. It's time for us to bring you breakfast headlines, and we start with the West. We bring the news from the west of the continent, where the governor of Anambra State in Nigeria, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has been nominated as the flag bearer of his party, the All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA, for the November 8th, 2025 governorship election in the state. The incumbent, who was returned unopposed, polled over 300 votes during the primary, which held in Awka on Saturday. Voting was conducted for the delegates from all the 21 local government areas in the state to either take yes or no on the ballot. After the voting exercise, votes were sorted and counted. In the meantime, George Moghalu has emerged the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party in Anambra State. He polled a total of 575 votes to defeat John Nwosu, who scored 19 votes. A total of 601 delegates were accredited out of the 649 elected from the wards, with 597 votes were cast and 5 declared invalid. Chairman of the primary committee, Itana Bene, says he has faith in the ability of the party to win the gubernatorial election. The winner of the primary, George Moghalu, also expressed joy at the way the exercise ended and urged the party to work together for their common success at the poll.
From INEC local government area, having satisfied the requirements of the law, the Labour Party constitution, and primary election guidelines, is hereby, I repeat, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected as the party's candidate, flag bearer, for the November 8, 2025 governorship election.
We have said in and out of our rooms that we want to bring change. And that change starts from tomorrow morning. We must go to work. We must sell our agenda. We must reach all the nooks and crannies of this state to let the people know why we decide to take this position. To sell the party to them so that they can join us in our desire to because Anambra is a blessed state. Anambra has all what it takes to be the #1 state in this country. We are not lacking in human and material capacity. What we need to do as a people, as a government, is to create the enabling environment for our people to thrive.
You're watching Breakfast Headlines here on Breakfast Extra on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, there's more. Stay here. And you're welcome back. Before the break, we were speaking to Kabir Akingbolu, a seasoned legal practitioner, giving us a bit of legal insights following the INEC rejection of recall petition on Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan. And he joins us live in the studio. Mr. Kabir Akingbolu, thank you so much for your patience.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you so much. Now, before the break, we've touched on, your thoughts on all that's happened between Senator Natasha and, of course, Senator Akpoti. We've also touched on the recall itself, the process, the due process, and how we can have a fail-proof, recall system. And we've now talked about the gag that is on both teams, both sides of this situation, and that is Senator Akpoti and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. But there's this interview that she granted, which is televised, that she has made statements and allegations or accused the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, of assassination attempts on her life. There's that, but there's also Kogi State right in the middle of it that barred rallies, political rallies and convoy in the next 24 hours just ahead of her return home during the Eid. I want you to speak on the allegations that she made and what it means in the entire process of this gag and also Kogi State.
You see, the allegation of, assassination attempt is a very strong one. You understand? That is not supposed to be taken lightly. However, it is not uncommon in this part of the world, in Nigeria especially, to politicians, especially some people who are caught in this kind of web of controversies, to raise weird allegations like that. However, let us not just dispel it as an irritating fly. Let the Inspector General of Police, the DSS and all that, it's within the area of jurisdiction, look into this allegation, because if you talk about assassination attempt, is it threat through phone? Is it by blockage? Is it by what? Let there be fact. She should go and make an official report to the authorities, DSS especially, and the police, if need be, so that they can do something. And again, she needs double protection. Nobody's life is worth the ambition of anybody.
Following
it is wrong. It's wrong. The Senate President is not the Inspector General of Police, for goodness sake, at least. And again, for somebody who is at the center of a storm, she even needs not to apply for security detail before she's giving one. The same thing to you or myself. In situations like that, when your life is at trial, they know that there could be some impending danger to your life. The police has the duty, the DSS has the duty to protect you.
Investigations? I asked that specifically because if we look at the instance of the IPU, for instance, when she reported the instances that had transpired inside of the Senate to them, they asked a very interesting question. They said they would like to hear from the other party. Now that gives you an idea of where their minds are at, that you can't just take one story on just that level alone. You have to also hear from the other parties. Now, in these cases of allegations, whether it's that of the sexual harassment one or even the assassination rumors that she spoke about, one has to ask at this point where the evidence are. And we're not getting that, not for the sexual allegation, of the sexual allegation itself, and also in this case regarding the assassination rumors. So, what gives? Is there anything to look at there?
No, you have said something which is key. Investigation. Investigation is a generic term. It has to be all-encompassing. You can't talk about investigation without the police or whoever is in charge asking questions from the Akpabio side or from the Senate side as a whole, and from Natasha Akpoti on the other side. You now balance it and say, what have we been able to get here? What have we been able to get here? Then you also go on your own out.
So on that ground, is it okay for her not to present any evidence at this time?
Exactly what I said when I started my point, that people make such allegations for the fanciful, thing, so that people can pity them to play the card of, oh, I am now the weakling, I'm now on the defensive and all that.
The David and Goliath story.
Exactly, for people to pity. So because such allegations, you yourself will not just be raising it on the social media platform or national television just like that. You write a formal petition. If you don't want to do it by yourself, ask your lawyer to do one. Ask your political campaign organization to write one. Oh, our candidate or our party person is being, haunted, they're about to kill her and all that. So, but by stating just on the television and allow it to lie low, I think nobody will take her very serious.
So in this case, should the police or authorities jump on these allegations she has made on national television and start investigating?
No.
So they're within their rights.
They're within their right to keep mum. Because when you say police is not a busybody who go about quenching fire when there is no fire, pouring water where there is no fire. You go to the police and report. You give your particulars, your details. You give them at least some skeletal things to work with, some skeletal facts. I saw some people waylaid me. I saw some people blocking my road. At where? What time of the day? How do they look at? How many cars did they come with? Did they come with lorry? Those are the skeletal facts that the police will use to work. But you go on national television and allege assassination attempt on your life, nobody will take you serious because that's not police station.
All right, let's look at Kogi State and Kogi State government and all of this, and what happened just barely 12 hours or 24 hours before her arrival for the Eid celebration at home with her people and of her hometown. And I've seen all questions, all analysis on this, and I think the question that nobody, or the quiet part that nobody wants to say out loud is this: is Kogi State government already taking his side?
Yes, Kogi State is already taking side. You don't need to. There is no proof. You need no further proof because it's too much of a coincidence.
What they're saying is for the sake of security.
For the sake of security, what are the security concerns? You can't just say, oh, there shouldn't be. We have seen curfews in Lagos, we have seen curfews in Abuja, we have seen curfews everywhere in Ekiti and some other places. But the governor will come on the radio or television to say, oh, because of this and this and this and this, we need to secure lives and properties. There is curfew to be imposed now. You don't just say, oh, for security of the people during Eid. People have been celebrating Eid every year, 2 times. And how many times have you imposed such security, restrictions? You understand, movement restrictions. Why is it that it's at the time she's coming home that you are now saying, oh, this is restriction and all that and all that? The governor has the right to do that, to restrict movement where there is need for that. But if you do, from the way it's done, I feel that they are all more or less, people will be reading minutes to it. Even if there is a security concern, they need to put it, lay bare for people to see that, oh, we are not witch-hunting anybody. These are our reasons for that. But there's no reason given more or less just because of the Eid security and all that. It has to be detailed because a lot of people, I have seen people lost their life during such restrictions. The curfew will start by 7 o'clock and he was driving at high speed and he lost his life.
I want to jump on that regarding the facts that you've just mentioned now and the curfew that was placed because of, well, in quotes, security reasons. Yes. Now, if the government of a state has put in place a situation or restriction, even if there are no evidence or no reasons like you have to, but they have put it in law and say, okay, for this time period, no rallies. And then an individual goes ahead to flout that rule. Does that make the person, you know where I'm going now? Does it make them, did you just say?
Let me tell you. Yeah, for free, whether the order, we're talking about the procedure or process of making such an order. You understand? That is the part of the government.
Yes.
But once the order is made, everybody must obey it. Because if you are challenging it, if you want to challenge, you can only go to court.
So here's where my question is going. That she has flouted this.
She has flouted the order. It's a serious offense.
And that there has been no reaction from the authorities.
Do you know what it is?
Because they've asked what the implications will be.
Okay, now let me tell you. Flouting that order and making such allegations can be tantamount to treasonable felony. Because you are already challenging or making a parallel, setting up a parallel authority to that of the government. Don't move around. You are moving around. You are saying that government cannot do anything, or you have a government of your own. There must be only one government in the state. You understand? So when we discuss A, we must also discuss B.
I agree.
It is also wrong.
Balance.
Two wrongs does not make it right. If the governor has given an order, if you want to challenge it, you can only go to court.
But
you can't challenge it by defying that order because it will cause chaos and lawlessness.
But she didn't break the law. When you think about the technicalities of it, and
she said she came by aircraft
to make the case. The fine print of those restrictions were no political rallies, no convoy, and I think there was also a time curfew at that. She didn't come in the convoy; she came with an aircraft. Yeah. The people were gathered at her home, a family home, and of course she has to address them. Now. She's a politician, as she rightfully put. She's a politician. Yes. When she picks up a microphone and speaks, she has to allay the fears of her constituents, the people that she represents at the Senate. Yes. How did she break those rulings?
Yes, being a politician, addressing the populace is a rally. If you, we only say, when you talk about rally,
so she's talking to them one by one.
You know, let me tell you this. You know there is a curfew in place. There is an order. There is no political rally. There is no. Well, she can say, "Oh, that's not a rally," but it will take more than an average person to argue that that is not a political gathering. It will be difficult because she discussed politics. She discussed even the order. That, well, I did not fly the order. They said we shouldn't move in convoy. I didn't come in convoy. I came with an aircraft, which means you already have to mind yourself that you are doing something that is more or less tangentially related to what the cost of the state said you should not do.
Ice cream. I took frozen yogurt. I don't know what you want me to do.
Maybe I will help us to do that. Because to me, personally, because two wrongs does not make it right. Actually, if you ask me, the way they have made the old, you know, abracadabra, the dramas, you know, they are making her a hero. Do you understand? She may be one, but at least they are lending more credence. However, the Senate authority, to me, with respect to them, I have not loved the way they have handled the matter at all. She's a woman. She has spoken. Make the investigation to be transparent. Let people see it. Even if you are not going to do justice, let it look like justice. At least for people to see from your own angle. In a situation whereby there's allegation, you are still sitting at the Senate president, when anything concerning whether in a minor way or in a substantial way, you shouldn't even preside at all.
And I must say, it's not just the Senate president as well. She's also, in this situation, it has implicated a number of senators, which we're not going to name names. Yeah. But when you watch the televised interviews, you see all the media tours, it's very, very alarming and shocking.
Yeah, they are supposed to also look into all those things. And again, you know, making allegations on television and radio is different from putting it a formal application, a formal petition to police or DSS.
I think we'll take that as your last statement, and I think it's resounding. Thank you very much for helping us.
It's a pleasure.
Dissect this issue. There are many ways to look at it, and many, well, culpable, not culpable instances. But thank you very much.
It's a pleasure for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, sir. Thank you.
Do stay tuned. We've got one more conversation coming your way here inside of Breakfast Extra. We'll be back. Welcome back. It's our final conversation here, and we go to Jos. The serene highlands of Plateau State have once again been drenched in blood. In recent weeks, the Bokos local government area has witnessed a horrifying series of attacks that have left scores dead, properties destroyed, and communities displaced. On April 4, 2024, reports confirmed that over 52 people had been killed in coordinated nighttime assaults on villages in Bokos, reigniting concerns over security failures in the region. The Plateau State government condemned the killings and assured citizens of ongoing efforts to restore peace. However, the frequency of such attacks, despite repeated government promises, has raised eyebrows among security experts and civil society groups. These attacks not only expose the vulnerability of rural communities, but also suggest a breakdown in intelligence gathering and proactive policing in this region.
And joining us now to help us unpack the complexities of these killings is Chizoba Adiowe, our correspondent live in Jos Plateau State. She has also been following the situation on the ground closely and has the best information to share with us. Chizoba, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us today. Based on your reporting and all that you've seen on ground, let's just start with the basics. What triggered the latest series of attacks in the communities in Bokos local government area?
All right, good morning, Julius, and thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Sadly again, it's a picture of gloomy faces on the plateau for some days now, and it's such a sad one. We were thinking that we have come out from that situation only for the state to be thrown back into mourning again, and it's a sad one, like I said earlier. Well, you know that security issues is not just something you just come up and start talking about without having details. And so because of how volatile the area has been since this incident occurred Wednesday night, we've not been able to go there. I mean, journalists, you know, because based on advice from security agencies, it is not yet safe for us to go. Of course, we do not have some security kits and all those that would protect you from anything that may happen, you know, so we've been advised to stay away for now until when the grounds are well cleared, then we can move in to see for ourselves what has happened and how the place is looking at the moment. So for the commander of Operation Rainbow here in Plateau State, it's a security outfit by the state government. His name is Brigadier General Gagdishipi, retired. So with him during an interview session, he said there has been no particular thing that can be fingered as to the cause of this incident. Usually in the past, you would hear that there was land grabbing issues, or some cattle were rustled, or somebody was killed, you know, or family stuff was destroyed, you know. So things like that usually were behind the causes of such incidents in the past. But sadly, he has said that nothing has been pointed as the cause of this incident. So that gives more worry to people out there that, I mean, how would you say nothing caused this, and yet we have scores of people dead? A good number of people have died out of this, and sadly, we cannot say that this is the cause of it. So people may just be like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, ethno-religious or communal clashes, but one cannot come out specifically to say that this is the cause of this, because the security agencies that are behind this, as in taking care of the situation at the moment, has not come out to say this is the cause of it. So it's just about rumors and what one may make out of it.
Chizoba, that is very worrying, like you've noted. Let's talk about the intelligence gathering apparatus that might be available in these communities. It would seem that there seems to be no relationship between the authorities, whether it's the army or the police, and the people. It would seem like as if these apparatus do not exist, and this is why there is no, well, evidently there is no idea. We have no idea what's been happening. So what is it like? What is policing? Let's start with policing like in these regions, in these areas in Jos.
Okay, thanks, Nadino. Usually they would say that security is everyone's business. It's not just for the police or the army or the vigilantes or any other security outfit there, you know. So it's for everyone to be vigilant enough, to be conscious of people around you and all those. So, but what I can tell you for sure is that in recent times, there has been a very positive and good synergy between security outfits on the plateau. And I think that has also aided in the relative peace we had enjoyed before this strike came. You know, so community policing to a large extent has helped, because I know that there are some groups and there are some people that from time to time they get to send messages, you know, on different social media platforms to say that, okay, they got certain reports that there's going to be a hit in this village or the other village, or that they heard that something like this is going to happen and all those. So if those things kept coming and security agencies have been on top of the situation, I think that's one of the reasons why there has been that level of relative peace in the state, especially in these wealthy areas of Bokos, Mangu, Bassa, Riom, Darkuladi, So, but largely, I think that intelligence, like you said, is a big factor here. So it's either there was no trace to this, no one knew it was coming, just like these security agencies have been saying. There was no clue to it. No one saw it coming, just out of the blues, and it happened. Mm-hmm. So based on that, these security guys are like surprised, so to speak, because speaking with the commander of Operation Rainbow, like I said earlier, he is still shocked that no one saw this coming. Yeah. Because if there were alerts or intelligence earlier, I'm sure something would have been done about it.
So, Chizoba, there's been a ban on the press. Even the press can't even get into these communities. However, what about the people that are trapped in these communities, the Bokos, Riom, and the rest of them? Are they able to come out? And have you been able to get information from those who might have been able to come out of these communities?
Okay, so this is just in Bokos local government area, not in Riom, just about 5 communities in Bokos. And so I don't think there's any trapped person there. I keep quoting the commander of Operation Rainbow because he's the one I had the one-on-one interview with. So I keep quoting him so I don't say what is not obtainable. So according to him, those that seem to may have been trapped have been evacuated. No other person is still left there, because of how situations are looking there. So everybody has been moved away to internally displaced persons camps where governments and, of course, other good-spirited people or agencies are taking care of them at the moment. So as for trapped people, there's no trapped person there. In my reports earlier, you could see some vehicles of the same Operation Rainbow, the police, the Nigerian Army. It's a collaborative effort now that everybody is looking at to save lives. Enough of those that have given way. The death toll is not funny, actually. Though there are no specific details given as to that. Some would say 10, some say 20, some say 50, some say 60, and thereabout. And so, for now, I don't think there's any trapped person in Bokos.
So these people who have been relocated or evacuated to IDP camps, how are they coping? What is what are the authorities' measures to help them continue living at least some sort of life?
Well, as I know in this situation, your guess would be as good as mine. When most times the people or victims are taken to these camps, they merely rely on what government or agencies as such would bring to them, food, other materials they would need, utensils at home and all those. So, but the fact is that moving away from your own home, even if it's just water you get to drink morning, afternoon, night, you have some sort of feeling that, you're okay, you're fine, and you keep looking to God, you keep looking for what tomorrow holds for you. But once you're moved away from that, your comfort zone, no matter how discomforting it may be, to another place, now termed displaced people's camp. You can mentally reason how their situation would be. But based on what Brigadier General Gatshipi, retired, has said, everything is being done to make sure that they are calm, they have food to eat, they have necessary things they need to be stabilized at the moment. And then coming days, we'll see what more can be done to ease their pain.
Chizuba, while talking to, the security advisors and through your interviews, is this an isolated case or is this going to be a pattern? What was the intelligence?
Oh, well, like I said earlier, Judy, you never can tell what the situation actually is or gave rise to this situation. So would I say like it's a pattern? In months past, it used to be like this actually, midnight heat and all those. And again, if you remember some years back, when such incidents happen, you get to see some groups on the social media platforms claiming responsibility for that. And then, like you would say, they'll be like, okay, yes, we did this, nothing can be done about it, you can't get us and all those. And funny enough, they get free, nothing happens. Just a few of them are probably arrested, and sometimes, sadly, we don't get to hear anything about it. Even when they are tried in the courts of law, nothing is heard about it later on. But for this particular case, because there has been some moments or some months of peace, relative peace per se in the state, no one saw this coming. So it took that pattern of way back when no one was expecting anything. So tracing it to ethno-religious crises or communal clashes or misunderstandings and all those would just be you saying what you think, not what the authorities have said. So, up till now, we've not heard any particular reason behind this. The state government had done a press release a few days ago, still not saying what the cost is, but assuring that calm has been restored and everything is going to be fine in a few days. So we're just looking at what government is going to do differently, what the security operatives are also going to do differently to ensure that this kind of incident doesn't reoccur.
Chizuba, I want to say thank you very much for bringing us the details. We're hoping that, well, if you do gain access into these communities, please do be safe. We'd like to hear more, and we hope that the situation is at least brought to a safe conclusion. Thank you very much, Chizuba.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We only hope for normalcy in all the conflict-ridden or torn communities. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we'll bring you strips. Stay with us. This TV. Hello and welcome. Unfortunately, the person that should be standing here is Muzino, but I siphoned it, or I have locked him up in a trunk, and it's just myself that's here.
I'm right here.
Don't mind him. He's inside a trunk. Anyway, welcome. Strips is where we bring you all the editorials, the pictorial editorials from all of the major newspapers in Nigeria, from Business Day to Daily Times and the Guardians and the like. And we bring them to you because not only do we love art over here, but we love the brilliant minds and what they convey. Sometimes it's just a simple picture. Just says the things that sometimes our headlines don't say. All right, are you ready to jump right into it with me?
Yes, indeed, I am ready. I was wondering why you were on that side and I'm on this side, but it's okay.
How'd you get out of my trunk?
I jimmied my way out of it. What you got first?
The very first one is Business Day, by the way. Let's get started with Business Day as we roll it up on your screen. Now, Business Day is always very interesting, and I really like this one. To begin with, the one, the only, herself, Who's that?
Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
There you go. Boo-doo. And do you know who this is?
Isn't that the governor of Kogi State? And then on the side...
Fantastic. And who's that?
He's beat up. You should know that at this time...
she is untouched.
Well, I will tell you something about this artwork. It's loaded. If you can see the Senate President there, if you look very closely, you can see the rings around his head. They're not halos. They're actually from being beat up a couple of times. It seems to refer to what many might say is the fact that he has been through a lot in these few months or weeks. And Natasha is still going on strong. We've just had that conversation with Mr. Kabir
Kingbolu.
and there are two sides to this.
Yeah.
And I want balance, and I'm on both sides. As much as we're hearing everything she's telling, I'm also asking for the specifics, the details. The allegations should not come without evidence, and there should be at least some sort of investigation, which we are not seeing. But then again, there should be some sort of actual report from Natasha herself to the authorities, which there hasn't been much. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course I do.
I know you're going to go differently on this, but it's okay.
I don't have any, because if I see anything here, cough me. But what's interesting is, you know, she has heels on and she's doing this so effortlessly, looking fly as always. But what I like the most about this is here.
Oh, I didn't notice that. What is that?
It's Kogi. And what's on Kogi there is a helipad. It's a helipad where she lands. But only time she's sprouting out of there. We
don't come in convoys. We fly.
Yeah, we fly
helicopters.
You know, it's just brilliant. And of course, all the people there just waiting for her to land.
Yeah.
See that?
You saw the video from during the week, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The mammoth crowd, which would suggest that there is a lot of support for this senator from her constituency.
Oh, yes.
Now, as against what you might have seen from earlier last week or a week from before, where you had the petition, the recall petition, and if you want to compare these two bodies of people, it gives you an idea. I'm not saying specifically, but I'm saying that it will give you an idea of what the general perception is from the people of that constituency, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think that the video evidence was enough for them to recall, to reject the recall of those documents, because that video, just watching those reports and videos that filtered on social media and even on television, national television, seeing that mammoth of a crowd is enough to say, really? Are those people ready to recall this lady? Are you certain? You know, so yeah, you are correct. Let's switch gears here. We away from the business day now to our next strip for today, this time around, and it comes as well from the business day as well. This one is quite self-explanatory. There's no analysis to it. You have here, of course, you know the person. If you don't, the very popular hat.
We can't be telling you everything. We don't spoon feed you.
Well, yeah, we can't spoon feed you. Yeah, exactly. The hat will tell you. If the hat doesn't tell you, the infinity sign on the hat will tell you. If that doesn't tell you, the glasses, of course, will. But the person on the other side, to his right-hand side, is what's interesting. And when you look closely, that is somebody that we know.
He's very concerned, he's very concerned individual there, because he's the one who's trying to put out the fire. But then again, the comment from, let me read this. Oga, should we put it out? No, not yet. It does not affect us currently.
And there you see a sign. You see Nigeria, the picture of Nigeria, of what the Nigerian map looks like in flames. And notice how it's not very close to that location.
Didn't notice that, Judith.
Yeah. You know what this is?
Yeah, you are beginning to, I don't know what you're saying. No.
Yeah, you know what this is?
But I will say something. There has been an uptick, an increase in the number of ethnic violence that we're seeing now. I don't know what's responsible, but it was different from before. Now it's peoples against peoples. And this is very concerning.
It's always been people against people, hasn't it?
In a different sense, Judith, if you get what I mean. Ethnic violence is a very bad thing. When people, communities who have lived in peace, or at least some sort of peace, start to fight each other, where are you going to run to, especially with the way it's spreading across the country? I think there's another strip we might see that also conveys this kind of...
I would say two things. Number one is that this is a very clear depiction of how the ruling class is very out of touch with the average Nigerian in terms of their lived realities. And secondly, this very government championed, I won't say championed, but they profited off the rhetoric of religious sentiments and tribal lines and all of that. I mean, they ran on a Muslim ticket, so I'll leave it there.
Okay. So let me define this more, yeah? From before, it was the people against the government, or at least the people not happy with what the government's doing. But when you have the people not happy with other people, that's the real problem.
That's what happens when people
are
have
hungry.
money.
That's because everything's going to...
Yeah, they're angry. They just have to fight
angry.
something.
Yeah, exactly. They have to be angry. There has to be some personal... There has to be some face. I need to be fighting somebody that has a face instead of the government. Who's the government? I can't reach, you know, these individuals. So the next person next to me, if I'm irritated, I'm going to fist punch him. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah, and it only benefits them. I wish they knew. It only benefits the government. Or, anyway, moving on, shall we? Away from Business Day to our next paper for today. This one is from Daily Trust. And as you can see, this is, what's it called? It's a strip now, but a comic. I like the comics ones. They're really good. That they always have the speech bubbles going. But this is quite interesting. Let's start with the very first one at the top here. This is from the north. You can see of course, you can see from his attire. See the sign there in the north says, "We're all Nigerians. You're welcome to buy a land, build your house, and set up your business here." And we don't know where this man is from, though. But when we come to the next portion of it, you realize he's from the south. And he goes, "Aboki, you came to conquer my land. You better go back to your land." And you can see him working as a wheelbarrow pusher. Clearly, there's bricks on there.
It's a loaded strip. I want to be very careful. But even without saying it personally, I think everybody knows exactly what this means. Everybody has seen this happen. It's a sentiment that we're well aware of. But it just goes to show exactly what we're talking about from before. We're turning against each other.
We've always turned against each other.
Yeah, but not in the frequency and magnitude we are doing now.
What triggered the Civil War?
I know, but then again, we healed from that.
Did we?
Got better. Yes, Judith, we did.
I don't think we did.
Trust me, you don't want to sit down with my dad and hear stories from the Civil War.
Are you talking to somebody whose parents lost siblings in the war?
I'm aware of that, but we've forgotten that. I'd like to think that we are a people that have forgiven.
No, we're
the sins from the past, and we're aiming for a collective future together. And that's what we should be aiming for, instead of these divisions that, whether it's tribe or religion or preference causes, it's all just one thing. It's hunger. If we're not hungry, trust us, we're not going to be looking at the other person as the enemy.
I would say this: the government just needs to stop using religion as a tool to drive division between the people. That's what I'm going to say. I don't want to get into this because this is national television. Away from Daily Trust, shall we? Let's go to the next one, and this is The Guardian. I like this because of one of my favorite mode of transportation. Look. Let me be very honest with you.
Sorry, I come in helicopters. I don't.
Good for you. Good for you. But this guy, it gets the job done.
Oh boy. Not on Wednesday. Not last Wednesday in Lagos.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't see one in traffic. In all the videos, did you see one? You didn't see one because this thing can get on those culverts and get out of the way as quickly as possible.
Illegally. Well, let me let you do the strip.
And also, you have what's it called? Nature's air conditioning. You can't beat this anywhere. And if rain beats you, just drop the tarpaulin down. My favorite thing in the world. Anyway, this weather is extremely hot. I wish it would start raining. It has. It has? How? A part of the country only witnessed a downpour. Which part? National Assembly dollar rain.
Yes, indeed. We heard about
clue.
the dollar rain, didn't we? But it was, what was it for again? I can't remember what they said it was for, but it had a specific reason why they were given these monies. But it wasn't to influence anything here or there. It was just, I think they say that they, I can't remember what it was. Do you remember?
I have no. All the strips will put me into trouble. I can't be the one doing this thing.
Go on, Jill.
I will get into trouble. But I would say that if you have forgotten the reason for the dollar rain, then was there really a reason to begin with? Was the reason justified?
That was a good one.
Nice. Moving on, shall we, to our next paper, the next strip, and this one is from the Vanguard. My uncle.
Yes. My uncle did tell last week that he was not.
By extension.
Yeah, by extension. He was not of the best shape. A lot of people used the opportunity to jeer at him and here and there, but then he is only just a man at the end of the day. And I'm happy that he is hale and hearty. Unfortunately, he might not be welcome in Bayelsa State even, but it's all good. But I think we all know who that's depicting.
Of course, and he says, yeah, and he says, I'll write their condolence letters. Wike reacts to death rumors. All weapon fashioned against me shall not prosper. And amen, I say to that.
Amen to everybody.
Yeah, amen.
That's everybody's
No
prayer.
weapon fashioned against PDP shall. Moving on. Moving on, shall we move away from Vanguard News? Well, this is just going to get me into trouble. The next one is Business Day. Again, another nice comic going on here. Benue farmer arrested for poisoning Fulani cows, ruining his farms. You can see the speech bubbles, the policeman arresting what seems to be a farmer here. He goes, "You're under arrest for killing our innocent cows." The farmer responds, "What brought them here? I only use chemical on my crops." Okay. You can see the herdsman. We don't know if it's Fulani or not, with the cows all littered on the field there.
What's your take on this, Judith? We're not legal minds, but I'll tell you something that I learned from a lawyer some time back. But what's your take? I want to first hear that.
So I don't know anything about legal implications of it, but I will say this. And we had this conversation yesterday. 2.2 million people have been displaced from Benue just because of the herder farmer situation. We know that this would influence the voting come 2027 when it comes to the state entirely for the governorship elections. This is a situation that is, I hate to use dire, but it's dire at this point when 2.2 million people have gone missing. But this is, I don't know the word, Mazzino, but when you don't intend to commit a crime, but it was committed, what is it?
Now, Judith.
I don't know the term.
You walked into that one.
I know, I was going to go. I wanted to walk into it.
Here's the thing. If it is not intentional, then it is not a crime. And this is where investigation comes in. However, even if your farm is being destroyed by these cattle and you intentionally put in herbicide for the sole intent of killing anybody's livestock, you just committed a crime. It's the intention. Was it to actually save
So how can you prove the intention in court?
Well, that's where I said investigation has to come in. And it's going to be a very tough one to actually prove it. But imagine if this goes uninvestigated and no one is brought to book, how this is going to affect not just the communities, but also our entire food security. Because all farmers would need to do now is, I'm just going to poison my field. And whether they like it or not, the cows are going to die. What are you going to eat in Lagos? Let's note, most of the cows you eat here in Lagos are actually not trucked down. They're actually walked all the way down. And that's what's causing all of these problems, because they're going through people's farms and eating their crop, and that's causing the problems, the wahalas we're finding now. Now,
so you're saying that
my point is that it's going to affect you and I.
No, too late. So you're saying this steak I'm about to go stab in my house is, a product of the herdsmen and farmers clash?
It is.
And so by extension,
Judith,
I am fueling the clash?
No,
take it back. You hurt my feelings.
We're all involved. We're all in this matrix, is my point.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was joking, yeah.
The cows you see on long bridges, you're heading out to Ibadan, heading out of Lagos, most of them walked down here, believe it or not, all the way from the north.
It's not my fault now. I have to eat meat now.
So if this is not a case that is looked at by law, by the authorities, you and I, will not have our protein.
Right. Yeah. I get proteins other ways. Moving on. This is all we can take for Business Day for this one here. Nicely littered, nicely done and drawn. I think
that's the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it. Well, thank you everyone for being part of this, and thank you to Mazzino for the analysis on there.
Yeah.
This is where we draw the curtains for
I want
this.
to stay on this side from now on.
No. All right. This is where we draw the curtains for strips, but also for this show in its entirety. It's been fun doing this with you, for tuning in with us from Saturday morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. down to this hour. But again, we are not leaving you with goodbye just yet. We are going to pass the baton on to the Breakfast Central crew. That's Benga and Olive. Join them Monday morning, bright and early at 7 a.m. in the morning.
By the way, they're doing 3 hours now. They're trying to compete with us.
Oh, yes, they are.
We'll show them how it's done.
Yeah, we always do.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night, guys. Bye. See you Saturday.